Before I finish off the rest of this interview, some of y'all might be a little bit confused at this point because I said I wasn't going to add the rest of the interview, but there is a part two, and it is the rest of the interview. I thought that this part of the interview was equally as important as the other parts, so I decided to go ahead and upload it. But yeah, we're just gonna go ahead and jump right into the video.
So, looking back at that experience, and of course, I can imagine, you came back home for Christmas, but there was still a road to recovery. There was still a lot of harm that had to be undone. So, it's not as easy as just snapping back into the life you had previously. But what did you make of the experience that you've had? First of all, the I want to talk about the uncertainty and the fear that you wouldn't make it through, and then also feeling God's presence so intensely and knowing that, knowing or hoping or praying that He would save you and He would grant you the chance to finish your mission and to continue being here on earth. So once everything settled, how did you feel and think about the whole experience?
So for a long time, I didn't tell anybody that that aspect of what I experienced. I'm not really sure why. I think because it was something that I was still working on understanding. Um, because I felt like I was trying to unwrap what exactly it meant to do God's work better and how I could do that and why He let me do that. And because I told Him that I would do that, I wanted to do exactly what I said I would do. But I didn't want anybody interpreting what I went through and trying to explain it to me. I wanted to understand it from God. I didn't want the human perspective on things. Um, so after some time, I eventually told my family, mainly my mom. My dad was there, but it was directed towards my mom. And I told her, I experienced something weird on a hospital, and I'm not sure that she ever believed me or if she believes me to this day. And I told her what happened, but it is an interesting thing to experience, especially in the way that I experienced it, um, because it is unlike any other experience, at least any other experience that I've had. Um, so it's difficult to explain to people, and maybe not everyone will understand. But after I told my mom, I felt a lot better about things because I felt like I understood and knew what that meant. And I think that when we have an understanding of what is right and what is wrong, there are there's a choice to be made. We could either do what is wrong and hide what we are doing, or we could do what is right. Um, and it doesn't matter if other people know because it is the right thing to do. And a lot of what I experienced was exactly that message that I needed to continually strive for what I knew to be right, and when I knew what was wrong, to do better, to not do that thing. And this also meant to me that when God guides me and directs me in a certain direction, to listen to Him, to obey Him, and do what He says to do because he's guiding me for a reason.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think in life we come to that realization sooner or later, most of us, I believe. And I think it brings a lot of peace, I think, when you start to accept the fact that you're being guided, that you don't know what's best for you, that you don't know what your path is, and sort of being content. I think that's the best word that I could come up with, being content with what is, not wishing it was different, not wishing circumstances were different, but always trying to think of, yeah, why is it good that this is happening, or not even good, but why is this on my path and what can I make out of it? There's so many things that happen to us, and I think you're a great example of that. um, it's difficult to find the good in it, it's difficult to find the joy in it, but there must be a reason that we're going through that, and I think the sooner we accept it, the more peace that we have with ourselves.
Yes, and it actually something that I embraced very much after that experience was the serenity prayer, which is crazy because when I was in treatment, because I went to treatment um, when I suffered from severe depression and all of that, um, every single day, sometimes 2 times a day, I would hear that prayer and I would even have to repeat the prayer, but I never actually listened to the words. I just was speaking words, if that makes sense. I don't, almost like if you hear a song in another language and you're just singing along with it, but you don't know that language. That's what it was like for me to say the serenity prayer. But it was so strange because after my experience, I started to embrace the serenity prayer and I didn't even know I remembered it, but I did. And I started to fully understand exactly what it meant and to ask for those things and to do exactly what the serenity prayer is asking for.
Amazing. It's so, so beautiful. And I think I know, at least in my experience, it's sometimes you just get into things and it's difficult to take the high road or to think of the greater purpose or to let yourself be guided. You just want to take action. You're driven by your emotions, and I think the more you can remember either a prayer or a mantra or the things that you value and the values that you set for yourself, the more you can stay true to yourself in situations where maybe you're being tested and maybe it's just difficult to stick to your values and to what you want to portray as a human being.
Yes. And I like that you used that word tested because it's interesting. For the longest time, I thought in the Bible, when it talked about being tested, I thought it meant like pass or fail type of test. Um, but I learned from the book of James that to test is to purify. Like when diamonds are being made, it's called testing. They are being purified. And I think that's a much better idea. It's a much better thing than a pass or fail because, well, you got a 50-50 shot if
Mm-hmm.
it's a pass or fail. But when you're being tested, then it's a continuous thing that you're working on throughout your life.
I love that. And it's exactly what I was talking in another interview about how the challenges and the things that are difficult to overcome and the things that present themselves, and we think, good God, I don't know how I'm going to make it through that. Those are precisely the things that help us become better, that help us get to where we want to go. And in hindsight, a lot of people, what I've noticed is that they tend to be grateful for those experiences. They're definitely not easy, but if you had the dream life you imagined or the Pinterest dream life, um, there would be very little to be joyous about, I think, because you wouldn't really be challenged. And I would also question how much you'd appreciate it if all you knew was bliss and happiness and eternal peace. But I guess we'll find that out in heaven.
Yes, yes, definitely.
So I wanted to talk about negativity and I wanted to talk about dealing with hard things. My view on hard things is that they're awesome because I think it's almost like a muscle that you need to build. The way you would train a muscle and it would grow, this same way you doing hard things and difficult things makes you better equipped to deal with harder things down the line and it makes you a better person, much like the diamond analogy that you used earlier. Now, I want to talk about how in your health journey there must have been times where you've thought, this is so difficult. Why is this happening to me? Look at all the other people out there. Why are they just going around their day and caring about, I don't know, the latest TV show or whatever? And I'm here stuck, dealing with all of these medical jargon and trying to find a doctor and being on all these pills. Like everything is just so complicated. And I would imagine some days it's easier to accept and to move gracefully through that, and other days it's just more difficult. So, coming back to the question after a very long parenthesis, tell me about your mindset and how you've developed that mindset coming from anxiety, coming from depression, and going into this host of health conditions essentially.
Yeah, so there's a lot that goes with that. Um, like for the longest time after I had recovered from mental illness, um, I had experienced what I would like to call grieving because, like I said, I had stopped progressing in life, and afterwards, I had realized that I had some serious health problems and irreversible damage to my body. And every time that I was finding out new information about my health and maybe wasn't getting the best news or wasn't getting the proper treatment, then I would start to obsess about what was wrong with me and why I was experiencing what I was experiencing. And um, I would still have that grieving as well with it. And that felt horrible. It felt like constant regret. It had me feeling very sad at times. It had me feeling very anxious at times. What was going to happen next? Why did I live my way like that in the past? And over time, I started to remember what I was taught in treatment. And it's weird because, like, when I was in treatment, that never helped me. I didn't recover while in treatment. I recovered overnight while out of treatment. But, anyways, after I did recover, I did go back to those things that I learned in treatment. And I remembered that depression shows as it presents itself as us thinking about the past. So that could look like regret. And anxiety, it presents itself as thinking about the future. So those are those thoughts of like, what happens next? What am I going to do about it? And neither of those are good. We actually need a balance it's good to think about things that happened in the past and learn from them, but it's not good to get stuck reminiscing about those things. It's not going to help us. It's only going to cause us to be stagnant, and that's not helpful and it's not healthy. So I eventually started to realize I can't go back in the past. I can't fix those things. I can't predict the future or determine what is going to happen in the future. I can only live here in the present day. I can work on myself and accomplish things. And I can focus on my dreams because I was given dreams for a reason. And so when I started to get testing that was abnormal, or I would get a diagnosis that I didn't understand, or I would get hospitalized, I stopped worrying about it. And it was interesting because like I went back to school, and when I was in the hospital, like I just stopped worrying about what was going on around me, and I would focus on school, and it was almost like I wasn't even in the hospital because I knew that I would get out of there eventually, and that things would be okay, and that in that moment I was still working on my dreams, so it didn't really matter where I was because I was still doing what I needed to do to reach my dreams. And now I see things as, and I know this might sound cheesy because a lot of people say it like, oh, don't have any regrets, or I don't have any regrets, but I really don't have any regrets. And that's because if I had not experienced everything in my life, and I mean every little thing, the bad things, the horrible things, the good things, the crazy changes that I didn't like, the delays in my life, if I didn't experience every little thing, I would not be where I'm at today. I would not have the dreams that I have today. I would not be who I am today. And I've accepted my dreams. I've accepted where I'm at in life. I've accepted who I am. And I love those things. I've come to love them very much. And if I hadn't experienced all of that, I wouldn't have all of this. So I really don't have any regrets, and that's much of what keeps me going is the thoughts about where depression and anxiety comes from, and not having any regrets because I know what that means. And I'm very, very happy with where I'm at.
That's so beautifully described, and I think so. I think it also shows in the way you tell your story and you speak about your experience. It just shows that you're okay with it and you're at peace with it and you're not fighting it, which I think is just beautiful, especially for your mental health and being at peace generally. So, and I think there's also really good advice in there for people that are maybe struggling with depression, with anxiety, and watching this. You just have to start. You just have to take the first step to not necessarily get out of that situation, but to just make it slightly less shitty or to make it slightly better. Just the smallest thing that would just give you a little bit of comfort, that would stretch you maybe just enough. Jordan Peterson just talks about making your bed. And I think for somebody who is severely depressed, it can seem overwhelming. Or cleaning your room. And if it's a big room, if that's daunting, then maybe a small corner of your room. I think just break it down to a level that you feel like it's manageable, and then see it as a win. Don't look at it as, oh, I've only cleaned up this corner, but look at how much mess there still is. No, you've done something and you deserve kudos for that.
Yes, definitely. And even though depression comes from looking at the past, there's a different way that you can look at the past and the present and the future. And I think it's really cool, the way I've learned to do that, because now when I look at the past, I don't see regret. I see how far I've come. And that is a really, really cool thing, because I remember at the start of my recovery, I thought I was at the best I could be at. But I didn't realize that things could get even better. And it's actually really cool. It's amazing, because I remember just when I started to develop dreams and realize what those meant, because like I said, I didn't have that before. But I started to develop them and I started to realize what they meant. And now I've taken so many steps to reach those dreams, and I'm starting to see them come through, and it's just incredible. Like, it's indescribable. And I'm so incredibly thankful and grateful for everything that I've experienced in my life, because I'm I'm amazed. I'm amazed with what God can do and how he can change a person and fix things even in the darkest of times when you can't see anything. When you think that this is it, this is all I have, and you're hopeless and helpless, there's still more. And there's people that say, oh, there's a light at the end of the tunnel. And when you're down and you're helpless and depressed, you don't see that. And you especially don't feel that. But it's incredible. It is so incredible when you finally do see that, because it's like if you get lost and you're wandering, and you think you're never going to be found, and you're wandering around in the dark. Well, how are you going to get found again? And you can't think about that, because all you can think about is what you're experiencing. But then you find out that you can be found. I don't know how to describe it. I really want to explain how it feels going from that to where I'm at now, but it's really indescribable. It is something truly incredible that once you experience it, you know exactly what it is to see the light.
Amazing. And I think it really sums up everything we've talked about really nicely with, the importance of gratitude, the importance of um, being grateful for and appreciating what we have in our life, and seeing, I don't know if we're all at a place where we're able to see the light that we're tending towards, but I definitely think that that's what we should be striving for, to finding our North Star or light, or as we want to call it.
Yes, I always pray for God to let me be a window for his light to shine through to others. I pray that a lot, because um, I believe that's part of the work that he wants me to do, and I feel like that is something that I can definitely do.
Beautiful.
Okay, so at this point in the video, basically she asks me about my YouTube channel so that her subscribers are aware of my channel. So I'm gonna go ahead and again on this video tell y'all to check out her channel if you have not already. It is pretty interesting. There's some really great videos on there, and you'll meet some really incredible people, of course, just through YouTube. But yeah, her channel is pretty cool. So go ahead and check it out. The link is in the description box down below. And now we're going to talk about what came from my channel.
It's very cool, because this is one of the things that, well, it's one of the dreams that God has given me, and it's I remember when I was on stage long time ago, and I was giving a testimony at my church, and I said that I'm going to be a motivational speaker. I didn't know how that was going to happen, and I think that it's cool because I did have my channel at that time, and I was taking those steps to try and see where that would go, and I really didn't know if it would go anywhere, but I've just recently reached 1,000 subscribers, and it's very exciting because now I see that that could potentially be a little loophole to reach my dreams.
Awesome. Olivia, thank you so much for being here with us today, for being so vulnerable and sharing your story.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me. I had a great time.
Alright, so that is the rest of the interview. Thank y'all so much for staying till the end. I hope y'all really enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun to do the interview. This is finally the last video. There's no more to the interview, but I really hope y'all enjoyed it. If you did, then hit that like button. And if you enjoy my videos in general, then hit that subscribe button. And if you would like to receive notifications when I upload new videos, then hit that bell notification sign. Thank you for watching. I love y'all. Bye!